Alright, so now what I'm going to do is show you how to learn how to make cool materials, okay? Not me teach you about each and every one and everything, but because that would take months. But this is a texture you can build. It's got a gradient white to black. It's got a rainbow color at the top. It's got a texture that's black and white, and then it's got a texture color. And you should save this somewhere on your hard drive. And I would save it as, it doesn't have to be anything. I would save it as a TGA. They render really quick, or a TIFF. TIFFs render very quickly. And we'll call this test map. Okay. Now in Maya, in a brand new scene, display your grid, go in here, get your most complex material that is not mental ray. The one that has the most attributes you can learn from is a blend or a Phong. I would stick to a blend, it's much faster. And if you go to textures, you can now put that in here. Keep it down here. And add a light to your scene. Something very small, something easy, like a point light. 7 on the keyboard. And this is how you learn it. So you have your material and you have your wacky texture. And on your material, you have, like, let's say transparency. Well, we've been attaching things to color all along. So we know that attaching it to color and hitting 6 on the keyboard should yield that color if it's on there. Bam. Okay? No brainer. And you'll see that it has a reflectivity to it. So what I want to do here is now go like this and break that color. So right click, break connection. So the next thing you do is what does transparency do? How does that work? Okay, what makes it transparency? In fact, how do I preview transparency? Can I preview transparency under high quality rendering, or can I do it in Viewport 2.0? Do I have to render it? In fact, I do have to render it. You might want to stick something behind it, by the way, if you're doing transparencies, like something like that ball. And you can see here, so the black and white does a good job. The color doesn't mean squat. And the texture really does fail, but it allows you to get some kind of texture in there for diffused glass. So I use Rust a lot just because it teaches you a little bit more, or it offers a lot of play upon the texture. What about Mental Ray though? Nothing. Okay, so there's other settings that you have to set for Mental Ray. And then you almost answer yourself the question, maybe I should see how many things I need to turn on and turn off in order for the glass to actually work in Mental Ray, and then memorize that. So I know this sounds incredibly boring, well, and it's not. It's one of those things you can learn. You don't need to have a class for it, for this part. You just need the ability to sit down and do it. Another thing, you should look some of this stuff up. But the Mental Ray thing, I'm going to pass on that right now, because it's been a while since I transparent. Yeah. Okay, so I would stick to my software first, get through that, see what ones actually work with it. if you learn this stuff, what'll happen is you can make really cool materials, and then you can bake them out to objects. So that's what's going to help you be above par for most things. And you can get rid of this by just deleting it, just like that. Ambient color. Can you map out a color onto ambient? How does that work? Again, does it have to be rendered? What does it look like rendered? You can see in this case, color works out really well. Again, answer the question, do you have the ability to render it in Mental Ray? Yep. So, go through this, go through all the channels, attach this to it, do some studying on it, and that's a great way to learn what these channels do if you try to map color or black and white or a texture to them. Alright, so let's move on.